But standing for my kids is what matters most. So you're not letting me stand for my kids. Y'all really need to understand this shit. It's crazy.
They said, leave now or you're going to be arrested. So I started leaving and they still arrested me.
Here's the guys protecting and serving us. Brought in the big guns because we're just so criminal. Wow. Well, how come I can't return to the peaceful protest? The emergency lane's open, so there's nothing you guys can do as long as we're peaceful. How far are you guys willing to go? We're out there for you.
End the mandates, end the passports, and let us live our lives. We're sick and tired of it.
I'm away from some people.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Rendezvous. My name's James Green. We've got a special guest for you today. I've wanted to interview this gentleman for quite some time. He's king of wings. You make the world's best chicken wings.
House blend, this is my #1 seller. Everybody loves it. Garlic, lemon, paprika, Himalayan salt and pepper.
We'll tell you about that in a sec. A father, a freedom fighter, a rapper, and a motivational speaker. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Andrew Maisonville. Andrew, thanks for joining us on this episode.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad to be here.
Maisonville. Am I saying Mason? Do I have to say it with a French accent?
No, you don't.
But you are bilingual, right?
I am.
How we came across each other was your involvement in fighting for freedom in Canada. After nearly 2 years of economy killing and family fragmenting lockdowns, Canadian flags rippled with hope across the country. Canadian truckers from all directions rolled into the capital city of Ottawa. Arriving on Friday, January 28, 2022, this positive force towards freedom was felt across the world. For 3 weeks, horns honked against COVID-related vax passports, border restrictions, lockdowns, and mandates.
The country's capital remains paralyzed as protesters vow to stay until their demands are met.
The truckers and their huge support from the public sending a clear message to Trudeau and his Liberal government,
calling for Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to step down.
Shortly after protesters began to make their stand in Ottawa, about 750 kilometres to the southwest, the freedom-loving Canadians of Windsor expanded the protest to the foot of the Ambassador Bridge. This is one of 2 crossings linking Windsor to Detroit City, USA.
The bridge is a key border crossing between the U.S. and Canada and is responsible for 25% of trade between the 2 countries.
While the tunnel remained open to the public to cross back and forth, police moved in on the protesters by the bridge. Some say it was the police themselves that brought trucks to a standstill. The mainstream media then began calling it a blockade.
Windsor police taking action on protesters at the Ambassador Bridge. Let's get back out to Windsor and our Priya Mann. Priya, how are things looking this morning?
Grant, significant developments in just the last 20 minutes. That heavy police presence you saw here yesterday has returned, in some cases 3 rows deep. This time, police are standing behind concrete barricades.
It doesn't look like a free country. Doesn't look like a free country.
Our interview subject, Andrew Maisonville, was immersed in the action, documenting much of it with his smartphone, and witnessed most of the protest up close and in real time.
You know what? Why don't you put the phone down? No, I'm not going to put my phone down. That's the worst thing we can do right now. You guys are out here lying.
So I've seen you out documenting reality. That's how I came across you, because I'm interested in videography as well and getting the truth and the news. What is it about everything that took place and the lockdowns in particular, the mandates, that maybe kick-started you to start documenting some of the activity in Windsor, being that you live down by the Ambassador Bridge?
Well, that particular activity, that's my neighborhood. I live on College. So I heard the trucks. I heard, the commotion. And plus, it affected everyone in the neighborhood because of the police. So, if you tell me I live on College that I can't go that way right now, it really messes everything up for everyone.
This is the first real face-to-face confrontation we're seeing.
I wanted to get the truth. You turn on the news, what were they telling us? A complete opposite story. We were the ones blocking the road. Oh, so we carried the cement blockades ourselves? I mean, I don't understand. So, you know, my daughter worked at the McDonald's at the time, and she couldn't even come in for her shift. Why? Because the police were blocking their parking lot. So why was the news lying? I don't know, but I was determined to get to the bottom of it. So that's why I was there.
Just give us some background on who you are. You live in Windsor, but tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up.
I was adopted. My mom was 15 years old when she had me, and she had nobody to raise me at the time because, you know, being 15. And back then, you were shamed if you were 15 years old and pregnant. So therefore, she had to give me up to her aunt. So my great aunt became my mom and raised me. And the interesting thing about my dad is he was only her boyfriend, and he had no idea about her taking me in. He was on the road. He was a trucker at the time. And when he came home, she had me in her arms. And instead of leaving like many men would have done, he didn't. He fell in love and held me in his arms and never let go. So I was with them for the rest of my life on college. And yeah, I had a pretty good childhood, played hockey. I was very involved in sports. I wasn't a leader yet. I became a leader more later in life through all the stuff that I went through, but I faced a lot of death. Friends, I damn near died myself a few times. And you know, it really impacted me.
Andrew's been in a car accident. He narrowly escaped being hit by a train and was also jumped by a group of people.
I had less than 24 hours to recover before the kids were coming back from their mom's house. Point is, my son has autism. Just because I'm hurt doesn't mean the autism shuts off. I still had to change him. I still had to clothe him. I still had to bathe him. I still had to feed him. And I did so. We cannot allow these things to just take us down and stop us dead in our tracks.
Andrew did not grow up with siblings, but he did find out in his late teens that he had a half-sister.
And I should point out, my mom was paralyzed on the left side of her body, so she was in a wheelchair my whole life. And so that really impacted how I was raised. Because instead of coming home and getting a sandwich made by my mom from school, I had to make her that food. And so it really grew me up fast in terms of, you know, being in that situation. I was 3 years old when she had aneurysm.
Wow, okay. So you've had some challenges to deal with right through your life.
Right through. As a matter of fact, the challenges I probably didn't even notice because it was already there. It was just there.
Some people might have easier lives than others.
Yes.
Do you ever sometimes feel like maybe you got the short end of the stick?
I used to think that way, but now I realize, you know, I don't want to really piss anyone off, but I believe when you're having tough times and you're not dealing with things correctly, it's a you problem. It's perception. Yeah, perception is everything. So that's why I believe depression is a choice, even.
What's up, everybody? This week, I'm dedicating my efforts to depression, and I'm living proof that you can maintain and manage a beautiful life while feeling like crap.
If things aren't going well, I have to ask myself, what have I done to change those things? And so I never once, so I used to say when I was younger, but as I matured, I didn't mope and complain about what was given to me, whether it was a short end of stick or not.
For the second night in a row, I put in a 12-hour shift here in line.
You were there at the Blockade, one of the people that were there for the most amount of time.
Yes.
Would that be right?
Yeah, that's correct.
You know, a lot of people were supporting the cause.
Yeah, they were supporting it from home. It was more important for me to get the truth to people than it was of, you know, how cold I was. It took a little bit of mental toughness, definitely, because those temperatures at the time were bullshit.
Do you wish more Canadians would have stayed out there with you?
Absolutely, it would have made a bigger impact, and they wouldn't have moved in like that. And maybe we've seen what they did in Ottawa, but if they would have went a lot harder if there was less people. You know what I'm saying? So I think we would have seen a different outcome. Not as many older folks getting beat by the police.
As a Canadian, I mean, did you ever think you would have seen those scenes that you saw in Windsor?
No, and I remember after being released from the jail, because I was arrested. That was the first moment I realized, you know, this isn't Canada anymore. What happened in my backyard, and it scared me because it did impact my doorstep, and it affected my kids because they were left at home. Now legally, because my daughter was old enough, but you know, I warned her before I left. This is what I have to do, and I'm doing it for you, and I'm doing it for everyone to get the truth. And she understood. And so as long as she was approving of Dad, I was at peace with being there.
You are a father, you have a son and a daughter.
Yes.
You have some challenges with your son. Explain those to us.
He's autistic. It took us a while to get him diagnosed, but once we did, we had a little bit of direction, but you know, in Ontario, they're not very supportive. There's certain things that are available for these kids, but the funding, it's just not there. So a lot of this stuff I had to struggle on my own and figure my son out, and that's what it is. You're learning your child. You're learning what they need and what they don't need, what they like, what they don't like. And it's been a challenge, but we're at a point now where it's a smooth operation, so.
Maybe a continuation of the role that you played looking after your mother too.
That came into play big time. I was able to recognize things that someone else probably wouldn't have.
Do you feel that like that character development in your life plays a role in some of the leadership you took at the Blockade?
Like I said, I felt a duty to be there. I feel like everyone should have had that feeling, but you know, the truth is it wasn't like that. Yes, it plays a part, for sure, absolutely. It's not easy to be a leader. Sometimes it just kind of happens and you didn't really mean for it to be, you know, to be in a leadership position, but I just knew I was all about the truth. That's all I wanted.
You had a Facebook video that came up a couple of days or even a week after the ordeal at the bridge, and I caught it. I don't know if it came up randomly through suggested feeds or something. Yeah. And I'm like, I was like, this guy's local. So I listened to you. And I'm like, this is a guy in Windsor who was on the front lines and he's been to jail.
Am I proud to be the first 5 people arrested in this shit? Not really. But guess what? It's gonna be worth it, because this was wrong and it's an obstruction of our justice. Ours. They work for us, they serve us, and last night or this morning, I was disgusted by the things that they did to the people. You know what I'm saying? That old woman did not deserve to get hit in the face, man. She couldn't even stand, she was so cold. The 69-year-old man got slammed in his head to the ground, and I'm suddenly thinking to myself, you know, what does this mean? What are we doing here? You guys don't get what the hell's happening. I want you to understand, people are being hurt and they're Canadian.
Talk that experience through for us, going to jail, being processed. I mean, are you a religious man? Did you have God on your side?
I'm not very religious. I grew up a Catholic, but I generally try to steer away from religion. I feel religion has done more harm to this world, but you wanted to know my experience for jail. Well, getting arrested, they said, leave now or you're going to be arrested. So I started leaving and they still arrested me. And, you know, they put me in the truck. The cuffs were loose. I ended up, my hands were out. And so I was worried I was going to get beat again when they see me. So we get to the jail and they processed me. And I had a feeling we were all going to be out soon because it's just, you know, but no, we stayed in there for, I believe, 18 hours before we were released.
Yeah.
Which, you know, tell somebody in prison, it's nothing. So, but it sucked. You're sitting in a cell and you realize this is a joke. I believe it was Super Bowl, and I remember it was quiet, and I said to all the other guys in that cell block, I said, this is the worst Super Bowl ever. So yeah, I met a lot of people in that cell that day, and we're still friends to this day. So it ended up being okay because we kept each other company.
Now, I know you can't talk too much about your case because there's certain things that you can't talk about. But what is sort of looming over your head right now? What are some of the charges and the threats?
So that we're going back some months. They requested the Crown wants 2 years, and that's pretty extreme. And I told my lawyer, this is the only thing I'll accept. No charge, nothing. If you want a deal, I am not interested. I will go to jail before I will take a deal. So this is the hill I die on. So far, it's been crickets. We've heard nothing from the Crown. And I don't know if anybody knows what the Jordan Rule is, but the Jordan Rule is when you're arrested, it's 8 months from the date you're arrested, you're supposed to be already going to trial or jail. And, you're supposed to have a conclusion. And we're well past 8 months, so we're hoping that it does get thrown out.
Yeah, that seems to be what's happening across Canada with a lot of different charges is they just keep kicking the can down the road because I don't know if they have any legal jurisdiction to do what they're doing. So I don't think they know. It's all kind of muddy waters, gray area type legal mumbo jumbo, right?
Well, like my lawyer was saying, he's never seen anything like this. You really don't know. It depends on the judge you're going to have that's going to delegate how things are going to go. So he said, just, take this very seriously. He's treating it like a murder case. So that's a very good thing.
Yeah.
And we're keeping our eyes on the ball.
What's your message to Canadians out there that are under the same sort of criminal charges of facing them?
My message is stay positive, live your life, keep your eye on this situation. And I honestly, I would rather say a message to all Canadians. This isn't over. What they're doing right now with the bills they're passing, it's going to get worse. And if the average Canadian sitting on the couch in their comfort zone, if they don't realize that the threat also affects them too, I don't know what's going to happen to our freedoms. We're definitely under the gun. Freedom! Political overreach. That's what I saw. There was a fleet of cops from across Ontario for a small group of people. All of them were heavily armed. They had all their big toys, their big guns, and people like me were standing there. And in the end, when they moved in and made the arrest and started beating people, there was only about 40 of us. So where's the threat? And that's the number one reason I was there, just to get the truth, because people needed to see it. Sunday morning, they moved in and made the arrest. It was 8 a.m.
And you were there?
I was there.
Oh my God, they're arresting this old man.
Yeah, because it needs 20 officers to arrest an elderly man, right? Like,
oh my God.
Got the flag. Oh, shit. You need to understand what it's like to see that intimidating line. The rubber bullets, the guns in Windsor on our home. This is Canada. You're under arrest for misuse. You have a right to call a lawyer. Stand up. I watched a woman who couldn't stand because she was too cold, and they hit her in the face. I watched a 69-year-old man get his head slammed against the ground.
Now, with all this attention on the Ambassador Bridge, Andrew's heartfelt Facebook Live video went viral.
The video you saw was, I just got out of the jail and I was passionate. And through that, I made a lot of friends across North America. And that was beautiful. It was very touching. The messages I received were out of this world. But I had, at the time, already started a lifestyle coach business.
My name's Andrew Maisonville, and I'm the founder of Mason Soul Solutions. I want to talk to you today about my men's leadership program.
And the reason I did that was because no one's doing the work. It's not counseling, it's building. I'm trying to let people know that you can be depressed and still win and still be happy and figure it out. And I'm living proof. So I took my life as the template, and as I'm growing and trying to help others grow, it's helping me grow. That's what I meant to say. So it's those videos that I make, they mean something to me, but I know they mean something to other people. And there's 4 groups that I focus on: women, single parents, youth, and men. And so I think it's important for especially a man to represent men, because men, we deal with our stuff internally and we don't talk about it. And that's a problem because of suicide, because of mental health illness. It's a problem. So that's why I do that.
A Stats Canada report that I just read states that between 1950 and 2009, the amount of suicides with men is actually 3 times what it is with women. And today, in modern statistics, 4,500 people are attempting suicide every year in Canada. So, I mean, and men are only just starting to talk about their problems with each other. It's this new phenomenon since about 2015 called the manosphere. And you can find people on various social media that are now addressing men's problems, yourself included.
Yes.
So, talk to us a little bit about the importance of that work and why men do need to start talking about issues that they have.
One thing I want to point out is when I make a video and a man comes across it, that video could be the difference between him taking his life or keep fighting. So that's how I approach that. It's very important to me. So those things that involve men and the pressures on our shoulders need to be taken seriously, not just by men, but by women, by society, and the younger folks coming up, because they need to understand what you're about to grow into. It's pretty easy when your parents pay the bills and you're playing video games, but once you grow up and the bills are on you now, and you got to get out there and work, and you got all this pressure coming from left and right, it can really affect your psyche. So I think the weight of the world is on men's backs, and women, not all of them, but women tend to add the weight instead of support, because they're only human and they seem to think they're Superman. So that's why I do what I do.
When you understand your own strengths, when you understand your own weaknesses, and you actually acknowledge them, you will become a better person walking out of that program.
So it's motivational speaking, it's uplifting, it's advice.
I never expected to take it, so like to the point where I'm on a TED Talk. I never expected that. However, I just want to help people one person at a time. And so it's really an online lifestyle coaching business. I've had 4 clients so far, and it's been a hell of a ride. I love it.
All right, let's get to the chicken wings. Everyone's been waiting. King's Kitchen. Explain. And there's more than one I in King's too, right?
Yes, there is. I spelt it differently. So it's an English teacher's nightmare. That's what it is. Okay, it's spelled Kiixg. Now, what's up with the X, right? Well, when you look at like rappers' alias, their names,
yeah,
they'll oftentimes take a number or a letter out and replace it with X. And the assumption is that the X is that letter. And it's just creativity. But if you're not willing to be open-minded, it's a nightmare to look at.
There's love in the food, bro. Loving the food, loving the city.
Thank you for noticing.
Loving the air.
My journey with the chicken started because I love wings, and every time you have wings anywhere, they're deep fried. And if you're trying to lose weight, you're trying to be fit, and going with wings doesn't really work, anything deep fried. So I just wanted to create something very tasty but be different. So my wings are oven baked and they're dry rub, so there's no sauce, which allows anyone who's on a fitness journey or any of that, they can go nuts. They just go nuts and enjoy. Full of flavor. I'm all about flavor.
Here with King's Kitchen, I got Jamaican jerk. It's almost sold out.
I'm into catering, and I love that because I can move around. I could set up at the place and serve people, and it's unbelievable because you meet others along your journey. You end up networking, and you get support from other business owners. So it's a wonderful experience. I'm in the beginning stages. I haven't even had a full year of either that business or my other one. So I'm excited to see where it goes.
But you've got the hip hop culture thing happening. I mean, growing up in Windsor, being that close to Detroit, is hip hop sort of steeped in different areas of your life?
I'ma need some time away. I refuse to get brought down. Now it's definitely time to break the chains. I'm picking up my crown.
No one's really talked to me about, you know, my involvement with hip hop, but it's sentimental to me, and it has a lot to do with the death of my brother-in-law and my sister, because they were pushing me to continue to. I'm a good rapper, but I didn't want to do anything with it. So they were the ones like really getting me going, like, no, you got to. It got to a point where I said, okay, I'm gonna make myself a studio. And at first everyone's like, yeah, whatever, you're not gonna do it. And I transformed my laundry room into a music studio. Unfortunately, that was supposed to be done before they passed. And so that room is very sentimental to me. Their funeral card is in there on my speaker. Everything I do with music, they're with me the whole time. So that's how sentimental music is for me, hip hop.
Now, being that your hip hop studio is in a laundry room, are your raps as clean as your clothes? That's what I want to know.
Wow, that was a dad joke. I have a song called Memories with my daughter, which was literally, it was a song for all the people we've lost. So I lost a son as well, which we didn't even get into, but I lost my mom and I lost my brother-in-law and my sister. So right after their deaths, we made that song, and the song it's sentimental. It's about memories of the people and keeping those memories alive, because when we do that, we keep them alive. That's what that song's about.
Is there a place where people can hear that song?
Absolutely. It's on YouTube. It's on all platforms, but YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, you name it.
Memories, and what's the artist's name?
King Drew and Ileana Maria.
You have a new release coming out.
Yep.
And where did that sort of idea come from? Where did the energy from this song come from? Is it everything that's happened to you over the past couple of years?
Absolutely, my friend. The song is entitled Fueled by All of My Hardships, so it's pretty clear right there. So this song represents my first solo song. Right. It's all me, and it's my baby, if you will. I will always remember this song, even if I make thousands more. So I'm just getting started. I'm a little late because everyone else has been rapping for years. And I've got people saying, you know, let the kids do this. What are you doing, you know? But no, I love it. It's therapy for me. Just to hear the song you made and then you play it back and people like it, that is therapy. I'm sorry. I'm gonna keep that going.
Every single time when the pressure was applied, I just look up to the sky and I began to climb. Feeling so opportunistic, I'm locking my eyes on the target, aiming to go the whole distance, fuel all of my hardships. Every single time when the pressure was applied, I just look up to the sky and I began to climb. Feeling so opportunistic, I'm locking my eyes on the target, aiming to go the whole distance, fuel all of my hardships. I'ma focus, I'ma mind, I'ma stay up in my lane, I'ma talk a little history, I'ma share with y'all a little pain. Where the sunlight, you'll find shade. Where the sunshine, there comes rain. Bob Seger, turn the page. Now I'm looking for real change. Back in the day, made plenty of foolish mistakes. All those same mistakes that I done made me the man that I am today. So I'm spraying away in front of your face with plenty of grace. Every day will remain exactly the same if you do not increase your range. Yeah, I was adopted for years. I let it hold me back. Now it's time to let it go. I have myself to blame for that. Trouble with the law and problems with some women, man, done put me on a path where I discovered all my triggers, man. Forward, never backwards, I'm not a coward. Forward like forward momentum, like a boulder, picking up speed down a mountain. Now I'm getting paid for the world of motivation that I used to give away for free, no payment. Every single time when the pressure was applied, I just look up to the sky and I began to climb. Feeling so opportunistic, I'm like my eyes on a target, aiming to go the whole distance, fuel all of my hardships. Every single time when the pressure was applied, I just look up to the sky and I began to climb. Feeling so opportunistic, I'm like my eyes on a target, aiming to go the whole distance, fuel all of my hardships. I lost my home, I lost my kids, my dignity and my will to live. The more I searched for happiness, the more I felt began to slip. Not enough time left in the song, 3 minutes, 12 seconds long, to highlight all the setbacks and pain in my life that I'd overcome. I hopped up out my comfort zone just to see where I can go, how far I could take the shit, give myself a chance to grow. Now I know how to get some sleep, simple terms put my mind at ease, knowing it's my destiny to build my kids to the rest in peace. I keep all the lessons right next to me, palm on my hand like some weaponry, like ethanol, it's the gasoline, ingredients for the whole recipe. Surrounding myself with plenty of talent, I'm feeling so valid, eating this rhythm up like it's a salad. This is my kingdom, I hope you enjoy, just stay in my palace. Every single time when the pressure was applied, I just look up to the sky and I began to climb. Feeling so opportunistic, I'm like my eyes on a target, aiming to go the whole distance, fuel all of my hardships. Every single time when the pressure was applied, I just look up to the sky and I began to climb. Feeling so opportunistic, I'm like my eyes on a target, aiming to go the whole distance, fuel all of my hardships. The more pain you feel, the more fuel you have. Keep going and never stop.
So we talked about your ordeal with the bridge blockade, your challenges as a father and rising to the occasion, motivational speaking and being that inspiration that everybody needs in these foggy times. We've talked about chicken wings being the king of wings. You know, the powers that be, the big shots running Windsor right now, what's your message to them? And how can they vindicate themselves, or, you know, is it a public apology? Like, you know, for example, Mayor Drew Dilkins, the head of Windsor Police.
My name is Jason Belair. I'm the Deputy Chief of Operations with the Windsor Police.
The health unit is specifically, as well. What do they need to do to make nice on some of the stuff that's happened?
They need, I mean, that's a crazy question. They need to come clean, and they need to say, okay, I thought we were doing something here, but it's wrong. And
instead of keep doubling down.
Because here's the thing, if I have a message for all those people, it's not them doing it, it's people above them.
Yeah.
They're putting them in position, oh, we'll take care of you, just push it. And it does get to a point where these politicians or these people in power, they just lose sight of life at some point, like what it means. And they are willing to put their own children's future in jeopardy because they think that this is the right political thing to do. And there's a lot more suffering going on, more so than COVID, that stem from the crap that they're doing to our society right now. So if they want to get right, they better start addressing these things, funding these things, getting out there and putting their face in front of this and say, hey, I screwed up. And until they do that, I don't think it's going to get any better.
What's your message to the folks out there who did sacrifice their career, stood by their values, ethics, morals, and principles, and basically put themselves in their own kind of front line like you did? What's your message to those folks?
Like Dr. Byram Bridle, he's another like hero for me, because he sacrificed his 30 years as a virologist in Waterloo, and boom, out the window just like that. They discredit and do all that stuff. Those are the people that you have to look up to. You have to understand that they sacrifice more than you. I was arrested, I was in jail for 18 hours. He lost a whole 30-year career, you know. So hats off to those people, and you know, I just hope that their voices are heard one day.
We lost some city workers. We had people weren't allowed to see their family members.
Yep.
Before they passed away. It's not something you can just sweep under the rug, what happened, but they seem to want to do that.
They seem to, because you know, classic case, letting all those nurses go. And now look at the problem they have in the hospital. You try to go in the hospital now, you're waiting for possibly days. So they're doing that. It's a man-made issue. You know, they can bring those nurses back anytime and alleviate all this pressure. My perfect example, my dad called 911 to get an ambulance, and all they could provide him was courtesy call after courtesy call after courtesy call to make sure he still needed the ambulance because they couldn't make it right away. That's where we're at. And so, God forbid he didn't die, but people are gonna die that way. It's gonna cause a lot of problems. It already has.
What are your thoughts on the whole died suddenly phenomenon?
It's scary. I don't really know enough about it, but you can tell what was introduced in the world before these deaths started happening more frequent now. Did we see soccer players die in the past, or any player in any league, or people fall over in the past? Yeah, sure. I'm talking about the rate has increased since that vaccine was introduced.
And it's the one variable.
And as humans, this is trial and error. This is what we have to do in order to solve problems. It's simple critical thinking. Well, wait a minute. If the spike is here and this was introduced here, we have to consider that this is the problem.
Basic problem solving.
Yep.
That they teach you in school. Well, they used to anyway.
They used to, yeah. Well, back then we used to get teachers that kind of taught you reality, but then it started getting all political later, where teachers are brainwashed. Sometimes you get lucky and get that one teacher who doesn't listen to their curriculum and he does his own thing. And those are the special teachers that I'll always hold in my heart.
Being a critical thinker, is there a place for that these days, or can it get you in a lot of trouble?
I find that sad.
Because you're basically labeled a conspiracy theorist if you're questioning.
Yeah, and even if what you're saying ends up being true, it's to the point now where they refuse to even see it. So we're at a point in society where you could show them the truth in front of them. They're not even. They're not taking it in. They're not taking it. So.
And that's probably why this video will end up on Rumble instead of YouTube. So what's next for Andrew Maisonville?
I don't have plans. I'm just gonna stay on course and keep doing. But I'll tell you what's next is I'm on a fitness journey again. And the last one, it went well, but I got stopped by 3 hernias in my stomach. So if anybody doesn't know what that is, it's holes in your stomach lining and your guts are pushing through. It hurts. And every day I'm suffering, but you know what? I know that I'm able to do certain things, so I keep doing those things. And right now I just joined a body transformation program with a local hero himself.
You want to give him a shout out?
I do. Jermaine Jackson. He is battling cancer. He is very motivational, and the things that he is going through, he is proving to all of us, shut up and do the work.
Every single day, I work hard on my body. Every single day, I put in the work on mentally, physically, everything, emotionally, and I level up. I'm a better version of me today than I was yesterday.
Just do the work, because the work is going to be the answer to all your problems.
Other than Jermaine Jackson, who else do you find motivational out there in these times?
I'm glad you said that. I don't really have specific people. I want you to understand, I look at the world from a different lens. I look for inspiration. So I find inspiration in places no one else will even see it. So the other day I was walking at St. Denis Center in the track because I'm getting my steps in, 10,000 a day. And I see this dedicated track runner for the university. And she's by herself, no one's around, and she is pushing herself hard. And I pulled her aside. I said, listen, what you're doing right now, it's inspiring. Keep doing that. Because it reminded me, I'm doing the same thing right next to her. It's just a different journey. And we all have a story. The point is to never let anybody write your story. You finish writing it yourself.
If somebody's watching this and thinks, you know what, yeah, I need some motivation, I need some inspiration, what is the big message for 2023? Self-love.
People have fallen out of place with taking care of themselves, and that leads to our mental health, what is it, epidemic or whatever. It's just insane how many people aren't taking care of themselves and thinking of themselves. And even parents, they have so much on their shoulder, but they go out of their way to put a smile on the kid's face. But putting themselves first in terms of their health puts their kids first. And parents are putting themselves last because they think that's the right way. The right way is you first, because that way you'll be the strongest version of yourself, so you can be there for them.
Where can people find your motivational content?
At Mason Soul Solutions. I have a Facebook business page. I'm working on a website right now, but I'm on Instagram and Facebook.
And when you have a client, like if somebody's interested in working one-on-one with you, what steps do they take to become a client?
Well, that's the thing. I do have an assessment I have to do to even see if they would even be a client, because some people, they don't really need or want to work with anyone. Most people have an ego problem, so they can't life coach me. That's just how it is. But usually when I get a client, they're in a state where they're done, they're lost, they need help. And I always make it clear, this isn't counseling, this is building. I don't want to get into your childhood. I don't want to get into everything. What I want to do is help you break the barriers that hold you back. Andrew, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I've wanted to do this interview for a long time. We've got a good sense of who you are and your character, an upstanding member of the Windsor community, and we'd like to thank you for everything that you've done and basically sharing your story with us today. So, hey, I appreciate it, man. You could have interviewed anybody. You interviewed me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
I will never forget my freedom brothers and sisters. I made so many friends during this whole thing. You are now my freedom brothers and sisters. You are family to me. I will never forget you. I will never forget the cold nights we spent trying to fight, trying to do the right thing. I'll never forget that.
Hey yo, it's time for a change. This world is deranged. Try to take the pain away, but yet it remains. Future's in the range, and everyone the same, but everyone's so damn quick to cast a fucking blame. And why is it that everything we do always the same? I realize that these trends can affect the brain, so when I wake up in the morning, I do not complain. I take a deep breath and begin to start my day. No time for debates, there's lots on my plate, but still I stand tall as a man in this place. And with the new book comes a brand new page. This world is trapped inside a universal cage, so listen to my flows, so they will provide an escape, and let the evil gate turn away at the pearly gates get sent down, so the devil can decide a fate. End of the day, it's no debate.
If you support independent journalism and would like to contribute to a future episode of The Rendezvous, please consider sending a donation to this email address.